The Full Circle Podcast. Compelling interviews and incredible tales from Colorado's western slope, from the mountains to the desert. Christi Reese and her team hear from the movers, shakers, and characters of the Grand Valley and surrounding mountain towns that make the western slope the place we all love. You'll learn, you'll laugh, you'll love with The Full Circle. Hi everyone, Christi Reese here, and I'm super excited to bring you another episode of the Full Circle Podcast. And our guest today is Chandler Smith, husband, father, all-around good guy, Grand Junction resident, and now the executive director of the Grand Valley Outdoor Recreation Coalition. Welcome, Chandler.
Thank you, Christi.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. We always start with that. Where did you grow up?
So I'm a Colorado native. I grew up in Fort Collins. Spent most of my time in the Front Range, but school in Boulder, which was not to my dad's pleasure because he was administrator at CSU for 30 years. But I did make the move to Boulder, spent my college years there, and then ultimately spent a little bit of time in Vail. Part of my degree there was tourism resort management. And then actually did a short stint out in Northern California and then 15 years in Denver before I relocated here.
Wow. And well, a lot of people draw parallels between Fort Collins and Grand Junction. Do you think they're pretty similar?
Absolutely. Certainly Fort Collins in its earlier years. That was part of what drove my wife and I to move out here was the similarities. You know, when you look at the population of Fort Collins at the time when I grew up in the 80s, early 90s, very similar to Grand Junction, the access to the outdoor infrastructure, Poudre Canyon, Laurie State Park, and then certainly having that university as an anchor to the community was very similar to CSU and obviously CMU here. So that was a big piece of it because I thoroughly enjoyed my childhood and really wanted to have my children experience that same thing in the community. And even the downtown charm, right? I mean, the downtown was very similar back in those days. So a lot of parallels, and really grateful to call Grand Junction home. Yeah.
So what year did you move here?
So we were, I want to say, October of 2018.
Okay. And when you were at CU Boulder, you studied marketing and outdoor recreation kind of focus?
Yeah, so I was business administration, secondary emphasis in tourism resort management. But really my family at CU Boulder was the outdoor program, which they have a similar program here at CMU. But that was my fraternity, for a lack of a better word. It was my people, it was my community, and did everything from marketing and administration for the program itself, but then guided tours, kayaking, fly fishing, rock climbing, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And that, that's really what sparked my love and passion for the outdoors and started to get me thinking about, how can we make a career in this industry?
And are those the three of your favorite outdoor pursuits?
They're certainly up there. I'm by no means an expert of any of them. I'm kind of a jack of all trades in those. Can do them and do them well and do them safe, but don't pretend to be a pro of any of them. Grew up with a cabin on the Poudre Canyon. Nice. And so the hiking, playing in the river, kayaking, fly fishing. Yeah. Those were the ones that I was introduced to at a young age. But skiing, snow sports, you name it, there's really not anything I don't enjoy doing. As a family now, we spend a lot of time on the river, rafting, fly fishing. Yeah.
It's, I think, such a challenge to find time to rest when you live in Colorado, right? When you're not working, you're like, there's so many things to do.
There is, yeah. And but that's good. It keeps you young, keeps you healthy, and you get to rest once you die.
I agree. So are you a cyclist too? Because you've got a history with some cycling events.
Yeah, I am. I should have probably led with that. Cycling has been a part of my world for the better part of 20 years. When I moved back to Colorado from the Bay Area, I was introduced to the National MS Society for Multiple Sclerosis. And at that point in time, I led their, 3-day, 50-mile challenge walk, a fundraiser. And a year later...
And that happens all over the country, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Exactly. And a year later, they asked if I'd want to take over their largest fundraiser, which at the time was called the MS 150, now called Bike MS nationally. And I cut my teeth in the industry there, championing that bike tour for 4 years, and then got the opportunity to take over Ride the Rockies, which was this statewide kind of jewel of an event tied to the Denver Post. And I was the second director in its history, and really honored to have that opportunity. And I ran that event for better part of 10 years.
Wow.
And part of that coincided with Governor Hickenlooper's time in office, and he wanted to start an event similar to Ride the Rockies, but on the eastern plains of Colorado, to highlight, the agricultural community and help stimulate those economies. And so we launched what was called Pedal the Plains, and I directed that for 5 years in conjunction with Ride the Rockies.
Talk about the incredible logistics that go into organizing an event like that. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to, and then when you finally get to event day, like, how does it feel?
Yeah, it's funny. Often people will say, "Oh, you put on a bike tour, and that's a full-time job." And the answer, is always yes. It's a full-time job. There's so many moving parts to that, and early on, it's everything from the marketing of the event, but the logistics, pulling permits, recruiting volunteers, obviously managing your staff, building an experience both on and off the bicycle, curating routes. So there's a lot of moving parts. If you're not one that enjoys juggling a lot of balls, it's probably not the right industry. Yeah. But the great piece of it is seeing it all come together, and that event day or event weekend is, that pinnacle. It's reaching the summit, and there's really no better feeling than that. But then there's obviously that kind of element after the event too, where you decompress, and if you're, somebody that really enjoys that industry, then you're always looking for the next thing. But really enjoyed it. It was a great way to spend what's now 20 years, because we broke off from Ride the Rockies, started our own company. And now it's gone through some various names and ownership, but now it's the Ride Collective, and I'm a principal in that. And here locally, we produce Tour of the Moon and Tour de Vineyards.
And that company, where were you living when that company formed, and how did you make that transition to Grand Junction?
Yeah, so that company formed in 2016, 2017. And we've gone through, it was called... can't even remember the first name, but it was Roll Massif for a long time. And then we became part of that.
Such a cool name.
Outside. And then as of today, we're the Ride Collective. But when we launched that company, we had close to 10 events. I think we acquired one 2 years into the company's existence. But it was cross road cycling, mountain bike races, and gravel events. And so we had 9 events in Colorado, 1 in Red River, New Mexico. And we just recently actually sold off the mountain biking and gravel events. So we're back to just our 4 staple road rides, Copper Triangle, Tour of the Moon, Tour de Vineyards, and then...
Copper Triangle is where?
Copper Mountain Resort.
Okay.
And that's 3 passes. You do Fremont Pass, Tennessee Pass, and Vail Pass. So it's a 79-mile loop, kind of an alpine classic.
And then the 2 here, Tour of the Moon and Tour of the Vineyards.
Exactly. And Tour of the Vineyards coincides with the wine festival, and that's about 1,000 people based downtown, and we do the traditional scenic wine, fruit and wine byway. Yeah. Or if they want a longer course, they'll go up and over Reeder Mesa and circle back in. That event's great. Obviously, a great way to showcase the beautiful vineyards, orchards, kind of the agro-tourism component. Yeah,
and you get all your exercise in, and then go to the festival and drink wine and eat some amazing food. I mean, Palisade has really got some amazing cultural aspects to it.
It really does. Yeah. And so really grateful and fortunate to be able to host that event and work closely with Cassidy at Cave to make that a possibility. And then Tour of the Moon, I mean, that's a gem of a ride. I mean, to go through the National Monument and have the support of the park and the superintendent is a unique opportunity. And that event has been, for the most part, for the history of the event, which I want to say we're coming up on 10 years of that ride.
I was just going to ask how long that's been going.
Yeah, it might be 11 actually. But that traditionally has about 2,000 people that we take through the monument.
Why is it called Tour of the Moon?
So that goes back to the days of the Red Zinger and the Coors Classic, which was a professional cycling event that was held here on the Western Slope. And they dubbed that stage Tour of the Moon. And so we've kind of carried that forward. And now if you actually go along that route, you'll see the signs and the plaques dedicated to Tour of the Moon that kind of guide you through the Redlands and up and over the mesa. Yeah.
So we were talking earlier before we started today about the fact that Ride the Rockies was canceled this year, which is really disappointing. Why do you think that happened?
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot on that one. I mean, I think there were several factors to be honest, and I have to start by saying I haven't really been involved in that event for the better part of 10 years now.
Yeah.
So I can only kind of speak from my observations and assumptions. But first and foremost, this market in Colorado is saturated with events. It used to be back in the early days, it was Iron Horse Classic and Durango and Silverton, Ride the Rockies, and maybe Elephant Rock. But now, I mean, rides are a dime a dozen every weekend. You can pick, your location, your discipline, mountain bike, gravel, road, and you're to a certain degree pulling from the same pool of participants. So I think just saturation is one thing.
Because they announced that they just didn't have the registrations that they needed in order to go forward.
Yeah, and I do believe there's that is a true statement. Ride the Rockies in its heyday, certainly my predecessor during my time, it was a lottery, and we'd have 3,000-4,000 applicants, and we'd take 2,000.
Wow.
So there's that piece, and then just the reality of that event has changed. Directors in the last 7 years, I think they've had 5 directors, and it's been in 2 different hands of ownership. And I think any time a company goes through that much transition, you lose some of that just institutional knowledge and continuity with the volunteers and the partners and the sponsors, and that ultimately has some impacts on your ability to succeed.
And obviously we have a great cycling community here, and it's really nice to have some local events. Do you anticipate growing any further events here in Grand Junction?
If I were to grow events at this point, it'd probably be, with me wearing my new hat as the executive director of the Grand Valley Outdoor Rec Coalition. I mean, that's my full-time gig now.
Yeah.
The Ride Collective, I think at this point, both my partner and I have been in the industry for over 20 years. I think we're both seeking new challenges and opportunities, and to be at the seat as the ED for the ORC is a real honor and something I'm really excited about, and I think the future is bright for that industry.
Well, great segue. Let's talk about Grand Valley Outdoor Recreation Coalition. What can you tell us about its history? How did it get started?
Yeah, so the history of that predates my time in the Valley. It was 2015 when really just a passionate group of outdoor professionals, business owners came together, and they really wanted to, shine a bright light on the outdoor recreation industry and its economic impact to the Valley. And, in order for civic leaders to take note, would you say that was the main goal? Like, hey, we're important and we need to be acknowledged and recognized, and we're driving a lot of economy here. Yeah, that's exactly right. And you speak as though you have a lot of knowledge of this, and you should, because it should be stated here that Christi is part of the board and a really valuable member and contributor. So,
thank you. I'm proud to be on the board.
So please fill in any blanks here, because you probably have just as much knowledge as I do. But you're exactly right. It was when a group was participating in what was called the North Star Marketing. I think it was a conference or a summit of such, and it was a project that was commissioned by GVORC. And it was during that time that this group kind of came together and recognized this need to change the narrative a little bit about outdoor recreation industry.
Yeah.
And I would say they succeeded greatly in doing that. This coincided when Governor Hickenlooper was standing up a state outdoor rec industry office as well in 2015. And that story in itself is fantastic. At this point now, I think Utah was the very first state
to have an outdoor rec office.
And then Colorado fell in shortly behind. But as of now, there's 22 states that have outdoor rec offices, at the state level as part of the government's office. North Dakota this last week just announced theirs.
Oh, that's great. Why do you think it's important for states to have a state outdoor recreation office?
Well, I think, and I can share some numbers here shortly, but I think the numbers are very telling when you look at the impact to the GDP, the job creation, and then if you get into the kind of the well-being, the health, the mental element of this, the social element of it. I mean, it's an incredible tool and vehicle to people's livelihood.
Yeah.
And I think more and more states are recognizing that. Certainly some states are better positioned to capitalize on it than others. But I think, there's a fun and engaging movement right now on that front. And so I think I would imagine before long, every state will have some kind of office in that capacity.
And, we can talk about the state office and also the local outdoor recreation group, but it focuses on not only industries within outdoor recreation, manufacturing, tour guides, things like that, big businesses like ski areas, but also people who recreate, and how do we preserve all the great things that we have in Colorado in order for our outdoor recreation industry to thrive.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, so we were real fortunate in that a partner in Zoma Foundation came on board here about 2.5, 3 years ago. And they've provided us with now 2 grants. And the first one was for kind of planning and strategy building. And then the second one was for capacity. And in that planning period, we were able to sit down with a professional firm and go through kind of building out this new 3 to 5 year strategic plan. And we adopted that just recently. And that new plan has a much broader reach and scope than it did before, where it was very industry focused. And it still is. And I would say, our voice is that of the industry. But now we're talking about, engaging in the realms of conservation and stewardship, access and equity. And that's a bigger ambitious mission. But one way I kind of, and we're still kind of fine-tuning our elevator pitch, if you will, but one way to kind of look at things is the ORC really wants, in its effort to champion an intentional future for the Grand Valley and ensure that outdoor recreation continues to be this vibrant and sustainable ecosystem, if you will. We really want to be that tide that raises all boats, and that's to bring more awareness to the bricks and the mortars, the guides, the outfitters, but also the conservation and stewardship groups, the land managers, and really be a convener, a mobilizer, bring all those people together, have conversations, talk about the future, the good and the bad. What are the threats? Obviously, this region is growing. People are coming. Yeah. It's no longer, a secret. Yeah. The word is out. Yeah. I think, as a realtor, I think recently Fruita, Grand Junction, both were, highlighted and recognized as like one of the top 10, top 50 regions. Yes.
And we were in U.S. News for being one of the best small cities to live in. Yeah. We keep getting pressed like that. And that's why we live here, right? I want to talk a little bit about, I want to shout out to Sarah Schrader, who had a big leadership role in getting the ORC together. And she's been such an advocate for the industry. She and her husband have owned Bonsai Designs, the zipline manufacturing company, and a small core group of people, and then a larger group of affiliates kind of gathering and talking about things and how can we kind of flip the narrative about Grand Junction and the whole valley and make it more outdoor recreation focused. And it seems to have happened. And I think that the ORC's role in that is really imperative. I mean, I think lots of people come here and are starting to realize the great recreation here, but having that voice and that group promoting things and standing up for the valley and the industry has been really important, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll start with Sarah. So we wouldn't be here today without Sarah Schrader. I mean, she was the founder of this organization, currently the president and chair of the board. But she really carried this through. You have to remember, for the first 10 years, this was just a group of volunteers, very passionate volunteers, but they all had their own, day jobs and businesses to run. And she was that glue. She kept it together. Yep. She kept the board meetings running. She kept engaged, doing letters of support, interviewing candidates for, be it city council or county commissioners. And so she is definitely our foundation. And we wouldn't be here without her. And really grateful, too, because she's been a great partner in this and kind of champion and helping bring me along, because to a certain degree, I'm drinking from the hose right now. There's a lot of history to learn, and I want to be very intentional in how I kind of engage with the community and learn about the different organizations, the different businesses, the history. before we really execute on too many of our programs or our initiatives. But there are some coming down the pipeline here.
Yeah. So how did the Outdoor Recreation Coalition go from being just a small group of volunteers that met monthly, sometimes not a whole lot to talk about, sometimes lots to talk about, to being funded by Zoma? And talk about who Zoma is and how that all happened.
Yeah, so that goes back to the Zoma Foundation, and that is Ben Walton, so part of the Walton family. And Ben, and I can't speak for why, but the Western Slope is definitely a region of interest for him. And so he's been very integral in things like, even Powderhorn Ski Resort for that matter. I don't know for certain, but I believe they invested to help bring some of the snowmaking operations to the resort. And so, there was various relationships tied back to Sarah. I kind of had my own ends and partnerships with the Zoma Foundation, but it was kind of just serendipitous and the timing and how it all came together. And about the time I came onto the board as a volunteer, on kind of, I want to say it was right on the heels of the pandemic, Zoma had expressed interest in really helping elevate this ORC and making it be more of a stable and integral player here in the community. And so through a number of conversations that involved myself, Sarah, the board, we were able to present a plan to them that they ultimately funded, which led to the strategic planning and then the next round of funding for capacity building that allowed me to step into this position full time.
Which is so exciting. So talk about the ORC's mission now. What is the plan? What is the intention? What's the goal?
Yeah, so our mission is really to champion that intentional future, to contribute to a thriving local economy and create community connectedness and well-being for all. And in the short term, we're going to do that through what we call our 3 guiding pillars, and that's community connection, education and awareness, and industry advancement. And how we achieve that is really going to be through advocating for our stakeholders. We're going to start to host some what we call, and hopefully our impactful events. I can dive into that here in a bit, but one of them will be these campfire sessions that we're going to launch here pretty soon. Continue to forge strategic partners and then disseminate information about the industry and what's going on. And right now, the best way we're doing that is through our new website, GVORC.org, which is kind of the hub for all things outdoor recreation. So whether you're a resident or a visitor, we invite you to come to the website, and it's kind of your one-stop shop to navigate the recreational landscapes here, and then also your disciplines. So if you're an avid bicyclist, you can go into our bike tab, and that drills down into where to bike, what shops to go to get your bike tuned or buy the gear and the equipment, to ultimately how to recreate responsibly and be good stewards of our landscapes. And
there's a wealth of information on the website, and it will continue to grow, and we'll just keep adding, right? One of the things I love is this is not the businesses that are listed on the website are not members, or there's no donation required in order for you to be included. So if you're a business owner in the recreation industry, make sure that you're on the website, because it's going to be something that I think not only locals turn to, but tourists as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate that plug. And I would also say, be an extra set of eyes for us on that. We'd like to think we have all the right information, but it's a lot of information. And so it's
hard to keep it updated, for sure.
So please, we welcome that feedback all the time.
Great. So talk more about the events coming up. I love the campfire sessions. That's going to be really fun.
Yeah, so the campfire session is really going to be our first effort of just bringing different groups to the table. And that could be different land managers, it could be different user groups, but have people start to connect and communicate and talk about what they're doing kind of in their world of work. But to a certain degree, kind of break down these silos and, as a group, look forward into the future and how we can best steward this region, especially with the growth and the movement of people coming here. And so these campfire sessions, they'll vary in topics and discussions that could be as broad as how not to love our space to death, or it could be about the balance of conservation, wildlife, and recreation. And, the format's going to be different. I think these first couple will bring a panel of experts in have some Q&A, and then all of these are open to the public, free. Good chance they'll usually be hosted at a brewery or distillery and have some libations. But it's really just to convene and have good conversation.
Will you be having some like authors and artists and things like that who are, maybe writing about the outdoors or?
Yes, absolutely. There's really no limitations to who and what we can bring in other than it'll be very, outdoor focused in nature, outdoor recreation focused. And we welcome people to submit ideas and for topics and or speakers and presenters.
Yeah, that would be great. What other kind of events do you have planned besides campfire sessions?
Well, for us right now, too, just a big charge is just awareness and education about who we are. So I'm starting to host a lot of lunch and learns. And again, another invitation to the public. Like if you're an organization, a social group, a Rotary, a business, and you'd like to learn more about our mission, our purpose, we'll come in, we'll cater the lunch, and we'll speak to your community. And hopefully from that, there'll be kind of a new appreciation and understanding of what we're doing, but then also you'll walk away with a sense of how you guys can plug in and support the mission. And, probably worth noting, we're also here to champion some other efforts that are happening, one of which is the West Slope Outdoor Volunteers. And there's a new website tied to that, which hopefully will play a bigger role in championing in the future. But that is this kind of landing page for the outdoor volunteer needs right now with 7 different groups: Colorado Canyons Association, the Colorado West Land Trust, Colorado National Monument Association, the Great Old Broads for Outdoor Wilderness, Rivers Edge West, and the Grand Valley Audubon and Eureka. And all of these groups are the groups that are boots on the ground doing the work to protect, maintain, enhance our outdoor infrastructure. And it's kind of this one-stop shop to where you can build a volunteer base and go out and, through calendars, seek the opportunities that are best for you.
Well, and I know that some people don't have time to volunteer, but we're getting a lot of people that come to our community that really do want to volunteer. And what a great thing to say, especially if you want to be outdoors. Here are a lot of opportunities for you all in one space.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Yeah. In a lot of my interviews that I do on the podcast, we talk about the wonderful collaboration that's been happening in the last few years with all the different organizations and leaders in our community, whether it's, city council and the tourism boards, the 3 different communities and their governments, but also Chamber of Commerce's and all the different players in town, and GGEP especially. How does the ORC collaborate with some of the other groups in town, and what are the benefits?
Yeah, so, I'd probably start with just sharing that from the time we've moved here, just in this last 6 years, the change that I've seen in the evolution of that and the spirit of collaboration has been remarkable.
Yeah.
So it's a great time for us to be able to hopefully get a seat at that table. But yeah, the intent is for us to work very closely with all those entities that you mentioned. City council certainly right now seems very forward thinking and proactive and wanting to nurture and their understanding of what outdoor recreation means to this community and region. The different tourism boards, Visit GJ, and then you have tourism advisory boards for Palisade and Fruta. Obviously, outdoor recreation is a key component, to their business. The spirit of collaboration is great. We just had a panel at the Economic Summit, and we had representation from Fruta, Palisade, and Grand Junction. That was a really
great session, by the way. Good job with that.
Yeah, well, they did the heavy lift, but it was remarkable just to see the spirit in which they're playing and supporting one another. And because the reality is when they come in, the way the valley lies here is more times than not, people are playing in all 3 regions, or at least a couple of the regions. And so that ability to work hand in hand and support one another is key. And we'll do that too through our platform. We'll, direct people to the actual tourism sites or Visit GJ because they have a wealth of information that goes beyond what we're doing in terms of the lodging components, the retail, the dining.
And how about the relationship with Grand Junction Economic Partnership and their efforts to bring new outdoor recreation businesses to town.
Yeah, so I mean that movement now is, that was going on before I was here in the Valley, but that is now, from what I can understand, one of their key components of economic development, if not, at the forefront of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's continuing to recruit and court companies that operate in that space to bring them here. And, kind of our role in that is, if and when that time's appropriate for us to like host and, tour somebody around the region, then we would step in and support that. And we have representation on our board with Steve, for that. So there's a nice kind of connection between the two groups.
Well, we've talked a lot about the great things that GVORC is doing to convene and collaborate. What do you think the biggest threats are for our outdoor recreation industry and our outdoor recreation in general here? What do we need to be doing as a group and a community to make sure that we continue to thrive?
Well, it's a great question. I think it's a question that a lot of communities are asking themselves. There's just inherent challenges that come with population growth. Mm-hmm. And what's, exciting about this region is I think we can still get in front of that. Whereas on the Front Range, certainly in my adulthood, I was a part of and or witnessed, the good and the bad in terms of how they went about those things in a sustainable way. And so I think we have great models in the Front Range that we can, take best practices from and implement them here. But I think ultimately how we continue to steward our landscapes, not love them to death, is going to be really, really important. And I think to best do that, we need to all work in tandem, kind of break down silos, have good dialogue with the land managers, bring different user groups together. So I think that's one thing. Another issue, and this is something that's plaguing the country for that matter, but is affordable housing. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about the businesses and being able to recruit good talent here to live, to raise families, the housing piece is a component of that. And I mean, you probably know that
super challenging,
far better than I do.
High rates and low inventory means high prices, and it's hard to buy a home in Colorado anywhere. And we used to be considered super affordable compared to a lot of the other communities. And I don't, maybe we're still more affordable than the resort towns, but still it's gotten a little bit more difficult for buyers here.
And then I think, the other thing we really need to focus on is just right here in our own backyard, our residents and our people. And when we think about access and equity, it's actually alarming, in talking with some of these different groups of how many people right here in Grand Junction, they live at the base of Mount Garfield and the Book Cliffs, a stone's throw away from the monument, one riverfront trail, the river. And some of these kids have never touched foot or played on any of these, landscapes and resources. And so looking at how we can, partner, and there's groups doing great work in this space now. So it's not us stepping in and trying to, move something on our own, but really partnering with these organizations and elevating their work is going to be key.
Getting kids outside is a really important thing. We know that recreating outdoors is part of a healthy lifestyle. And in fact, love what Mesa County has done with tying the health department to trail maintenance. How cool is that?
Yeah, incredible. And, we have a few people in that space, Cop MOBA obviously being a big one, but the work that Ross and his team of trail builders are doing now with, the Mesa County Trails Department, which falls under Mesa County Public Health, it is remarkable. And, that stems from Ross raising a lot of money through grants to, enlist the support and services of the trail builders. 18 Road, the expansion that's happening out there, that's a great example of the work they're doing. I think when it's all said and done, 30 miles of new trails will be created out there.
It's exciting.
But yeah, the public health and wellness piece to outdoor recreation, I mean, it's remarkable. And before we do wrap anything up, I want to share a few stats with you.
Please do.
That are kind of on a national level and then drill in. And so the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis just recently announced for the first time ever the economic contribution of outdoor recreation surpassed $1 trillion.
Wow.
That's more than oil and gas extraction combined and mining. 2.2% of the GDP and 5 million jobs created from that.
Fantastic.
You drill that down lower for Colorado, $13.9 billion into the community, 19% growth from the year prior, and that's 130,000 jobs. And then here in Mesa County, we could, actually it was GGEP, I want to say CMU, and the state outdoor rec office commissioned a economic impact study that Dr. Nathan Perry helped lead from CMU. And these stats now are a couple of years old. But at that point in time, they found that 11% of jobs here in Mesa County were directly tied to outdoor recreation. So there's truth in these numbers.
Yeah.
And the other survey that was actually really interesting we put out during our strategic planning, we were able to decipher that 80% of the folks that call the Valley home, they do so because of the access to outdoor recreation.
Mm-hmm. So we just got to get that other 20%
That's
on
right.
board, right?
Exactly.
All those kids using things. I want to say, too, that study that was done here in the Grand Valley, we're one of the only communities. So a lot of studies have been done on the national level, state level, but not on a community level. It's kind of hard to pull off.
Perhaps
so we're
still
lucky.
to this day, the only county-wide study that's been produced.
Super cool. Well, Chandler, thank you so much for joining us. Any closing thoughts on outdoor recreation or Grand Junction?
None of that come to mind other than to get outside and play, enjoy this beautiful country that we live in.
Yeah.
And please tune in with the Outdoor Rec Coalition. Again, we're just standing up the organization, but a lot of great, passionate people behind this. We invite everybody to the table. But I really do believe this organization stands to play a pivotal role in the future of the industry.
Agree. And you're going to start a podcast, too.
We are going to start a podcast. So this was kind of my test, my experience. First time I've ever been on one, but I really appreciate you having us.
Well, you're a great guest, and I'm really excited about your executive director position. I think you're just the right person for the job, and the Grand Valley Outdoor Recreation Coalition is going to grow and flourish because of you and all the members. So
thank you. That means a lot.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. I'm Christi Reese here with Chandler Smith, and we'll see you next time on the Full Circle Podcast. Bye. Thanks for listening. This is Christi Reese signing out from the Full Circle Podcast.